Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Keeill Vaayl.
Sure do Claare na Gael as bevailam Shuishaltacha. My name is Robert Cutting-Carswell, Robert the Carslach.
Have I heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
And it's my pleasure to present this programme, Claare na Gael, with a historic narrative in the English language, as les Skeelerd Ruachsacheld, and with a famous story in the Manx Gaelic, Shendagray Chinyan Amera, the mother tongue of Vannin, the Isle of Man. As Banachtan Jewish, in the year 1791, David Robertson revisited the island where he'd earlier been stationed as a customs officer. With two friends, he's now set off on a walking tour of the island, and he's been describing their progress so far down to Ballasalla. Tun fairly John Seward, gavrigus a chamber studere zeggen. Tredal tajum tun Doris Fasla as tun surrensach ege renshaw saige ersen les skin, tun waddle lau hier and fairly Seward gortich as the fool reichis. Ach, tail yegel renshaw les a gorn yesh. We heard a Breton song by Gwenin recently about a fox, a wolf and a weasel. We start with Breton band MANAU. Now they take their name from MANAU, the Breton name for the Isle of Man, though I'm not sure why, but there we are. However, here they sing about a weasel, la belette, or perhaps we should call it an ermine. Tashu geestiachrish radio Vannin, stasiwn and asiwn, viskuller skeliena was doolish, Alan Vannin.
Les amateurs de chambrettes, les bretons qui se la pètent, les déchireurs de galettes, les bouffeurs de crêpes. Après avoir bravé bien des galères et des tempêtes, regarde bien la tête des jeunes guerriers celtes. Il y a le loup, le renard, bien sûr il y a la belette. Autocritique parfaite mais ça reste correct. Pas d'idée abjecte, c'est pour faire la fête. Voilà comment MANAU avance sans se prendre la tête. Chante dans le loup, le renard et la belette. Chante dans le loup et le renard chanter. Chante dans le loup, le renard et la belette. Chante dans le loup et le renard chanter. MANAU viendra les gars, MANAU viendra. C'est à ce moment-là qu'il faut lever les bras. MANAU viendra les gars, MANAU viendra. C'est à ce moment-là qu'il faut lever les bras. Oh, tranquille, j'arrive et je me pose. Non surtout pas de clause. Sur ce tempo tribal j'ai envie de poser des proses. Tu connais le renard mec, tu connais la belette. C'est moi qui fais cet oratoire, je suis le loup, c'est net. C'est une facilité de chambre et pour moi c'est ainsi. C'est moi qui ai le mic, c'est moi qui écris. Ne vous inquiétez pas les gars, pour vous je resterai gentil. Je n'oublie pas que MANAU aussi c'est un état d'esprit. Chante dans le loup, le renard et la belette. Chante dans le loup et le renard chanter. Chante dans le loup, le renard et la belette. Chante dans le loup et le renard chanter. MANAU viendra les gars, MANAU viendra. C'est à ce moment-là qu'il faut lever les bras. MANAU viendra les gars, MANAU viendra. C'est à ce moment-là qu'il faut lever les bras.
Keeill la belette, asked the band from Brittany, but with a name referring to the Isle of Man. They're called MANAU. We passed the day at Ballasalla, writes Robertson, and next morning proceeded through some romantic scenery to Derbyhaven, a small village which only claims attention from its excellent harbour. In a little isle dedicated to St. Michael, a fort was erected by one of the Earls of Derby, with a view of defending the entrance of the haven. Though the tower is now falling to decay, part of the Derby arms may still be traced over the entrance, dated 1667. Well, despite that date, or the way that Robertson read it anyway, the fort was constructed by an Stanlach Moor, James Stanley, the 7th Earl of Derby, in 1645, the Civil War period, and as he says, he's right about protecting Derbyhaven. However, it replaced a fort dating from about 1540, which had been built by Edward Stanley, the 3rd Earl of Derby, and that was on the orders of King Henry VIII to protect the island against possible Scottish or French invasion at that time. In 1651, the battery consisted of 5 guns. Now, although Robertson says it's in 1791 falling into disrepair or falling to decay, he says, the fort is thought to have remained in use until after the Napoleonic Wars. Probably the Napoleonic Wars gave it a new lease of life because they would need those onshore protection as all those Martello towers round Britain. So it eventually probably fell into disuse round about the 1820s onwards. Treren the Tenjeli reistiach on as hin deis in the Gael de Renshaw van a laier Lairfos, na ve the yino ve the jaru cor fear orm. Ve na laier a vulgar lair as schlie gurish mother a fool ver dusjem vain wannel gortich malau. Ve kiaull shiger de eishach as Gael nim Golchen, vi kiaull shiger de heishach. As Marion de Stow, higher merish the Tenjeli, sheoil de bollach, as Gino Vegach grey, rish as rish. Shein fool ten vios, shein fool ten vios. Chanodum surl call fool kiart eg a treiton, te raurer ve kailte mer a gerage son the fos corpoilem. As eist an chonnet sheent jay, chingas Lucy, as na came an aglach jay, ginoworm. Tammy ro griesich as denach, as tammy fame, fey. De oil, gewel Van Helsing hymnamy, maar so genelle arm ko shama haveen. Nach genel fortem de yinu vergoosh. Chelgram, Van Helsing, Antwerp, gus Seward, Carfax. As eich ons screwt foshen, courage gus Carfax, Sussex, son gin county Imreich. Nilly vrij de oers feed de handmach. Well, Karen Matheson sings a song in Scottish Gaelic now, a setting by her husband Donald Shaw, of a poem by the poet English du MacNiachel, and it's called Breisleach, which means delirium. A lovely setting by Donald Shaw, sung by Karen Matheson, of the poem Breisleach by Ines MacNichol, who died about 2 months ago at the age of 80. More from Karen Matheson later on. Yn siach le jeg mein fawr, na gin féliel de vei ons Hillingham nach, man a vel freilare ulju en tre, de menig imi le shilje, as gin shigge de vel blaen corrich jaach on. Fies gan shoil, na gin féliel, bim mert gelees vis possible lukt auragen. Gilen en fairly seward, en hachtel le jeg mein fawr. Kart schuels on train gus lunning. Ren Raschen, Chelgram van Helsink or Sledden nearm, Sledden nee kailt, as de fissem joris Keeill Jaru na alders tagert on zee. De Firniach, voor die de guljurid vee mai, ach, krij odders verhagert. Son shigeris, ta kraag aglach kroch in skin, de voddag, de chulju drach hachert vis possible, liedelshin ons de chulju rid ta shin ber. Nim cor lesje killender show merem, as esh fodum linus jaach me en trail lesh phonograph Lucy. Memorandum fegid eg Lucy Westendra en shaachtu le jeg mein fawr, sunny. Now, as well as the Derby fort on what's also known as Fort Island, there are trace remains of other earthworks from other gun emplacements, so defending what was the very important harbour of Derbyhaven. As Robertson mentioned, though, this is a little isle dedicated to St Michael, and he continues, near the tower is a ruined chapel, in which the remains of an altar piled up with root stones are still visible. And Keeill Vaayl, the chapel of St Michael, is going to hold our attention for a good bit yet. As a keeill is thought to date from the 1100s, it's first mentioned in the Chronicles of the Kings of Man and the Isles. We heard recently about the death of King Reginald at the hands of a knight called Ivor, and despite that romantic legend about Ivor and Matilda and Ivor killing Reginald to save Matilda from his lustful intentions, it seems that Ivor was in fact the henchman of a rival for the throne, Harold, son of Godred Don, who assumed the kingship on the death of Harold. Well, we heard Cornish duo Salt and Sky singing last time, and there they played their violins on a medley they call the Sandwich Set. Rodiw Stasiwn na Nasiwn Radio Vannin as tysio geisiach rys Claare na Gael. Mer yn pyn Robert Gytyn Corrol, Robert a Corslach.
I've heard tell of owl Bobby Bob.
Let's go back to the Chronicles now. In the year 1250, Harold, son of Godred Don, was summoned and went to the court of the Lord King of Norway. For the king was displeased with his having usurped a kingdom to which he had no title, and intended not to allow his return to the Soda Highlands. In the same year, Magnus, son of Olav, and John, son of Dugald, with some Norwegians, came to Man and put in at the port of Ronaldsway. John, son of Dugald, sent messengers to the people of Man to say, "Thus and thus does John, king of the Isles, command you." When the Manx men heard John styled king of the Isles, instead of Magnus, Olaf's son, they became indignant and refused to hear anything further from the messengers, who returned and reported all to their master. John, greatly exasperated, immediately ordered his followers under arms and led them up to St. Michael's Isle, where he marshalled them in troops. Tam I sgriw sio ys fygele dy fi faganit, nach gin pecher bi eniach, trwyd cair bi, chit dy fe ans bora cwnta jim. Sior y cortus girach jay na hacher noch. Tam I genachten dy fel mi gedden bes fai anwnid, a sgont a njartem dy sgriw. Ach sain dy fe jint, ma vem gedden bes ons ginaway. Hai mi dy lai mordacadjan, as gauw mi careil der au ullion na blaen, courage, Moren and Fairly Van Helsing Stura, as de leer hutch mi machadla. Va mi me roesta, joris bendel tegen unjeg, veng oil tayacht luk dau shul machadla, na een en ons witby, ren mina sauel mi, as vish nish maier endau. Gerau mi goil al, ach van mi buishel der au een Fairly Seward sa chamber nebu, de bech cair VM coremer. Hug mi eber cadla, a gedod mi. Esh, henk gorm a shan al rosh cadla, as rem mi reche de hanachten marouche. Now this is a version of a very widely travelled song, and here in the island it was collected in the version known as the crabfish. Well, in the version we're about to hear, we hear NORAH CLEARY of County Clare, and it's called the codfish. And I must warn you, it's amusingly rude, so bear with me on this one.
Oh, there was a little man and he had a little horse. He saddled him and bridled him and threw his leg across. Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem, aye, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem-a-day. He rode till he came to a brook where he spied a jolly fisherman fishing with the hook. Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem, aye, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem-a-day. Fisherman, 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 said he, have you a codfish that you will give to me? Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem, aye, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem-a-day. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, said he, I have a codfish that I will give to thee, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem, aye, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem-a-day. He caught the codfish up by the backbone, he threw him across his shoulders and rode away home, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem, aye, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem-a-day. When he got home, sure he couldn't find a dish, and he put him in the pot where the wife used to piss, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem, aye, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem-a-day. The wife got up in the middle of the night, she made for the pot and she got an awful fright, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem, aye, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem-a-day. A husband, the devil is in the paw, he has me by the leather and he won't let me go, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem, aye, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem-a-day. They kicked him in the belly and they kicked him in the side and they kicked him up and there still the poor bastard died, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem, aye, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem-a-day. When you get married, don't get married too soon, for if you don't use the poker, you'll surely use the broom, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem, aye, Mr. Raddlem-a-daddlem-a-day.
NORAH CLEARY singing the codfish, which in a version called the crabfish was collected here in the island from William Cannell of Balladool. Probably not what he sang at the chapel anniversary supper. The camlegach Yinach cadla cor be chit orm eish tren raumi giria. Masaw nod raumi Gael al rosh vemel lommerken, doshel mi magorus as dai mi mach, wel peger bi on shen. Gedenk fregert. Van mi Gael al rosh toestem of as masaw remi duna magorus rish. Eish, chow mui sa freben tamagach, Keeill mi source de gol, gor a shen eg mada, ach, selgasi, a cinchla. Heimigus an unyeg, as jich mi mach, ach dat mi fagen weg, limme je kratniag woer. A spachtel ve, de raui ve boele a skien en naien unyeg. Ma so heimi a raaskus maljabirish, ach ren mi rech agin kadla. The shine, doshel the doris, as jich me woer stjach on. As ish, vagen jorish me gleisige, na raumi me gadle. Hanky stjach on, as hai shis ljorum. Lori rum eer, na smilje, as na smege, na nachkajenek. Well, this account in the Chronicles of the Kings of Man and the Isles has brought John, son of Dugald, with some Norwegians, to the chapel of St. Michael. John made his troops sit down in ranks prepared to engage in battle, and ordered all to be in readiness to commence the attack at break of day, unless the Manx men would spontaneously promise to yield all he should ask from them. The Manxmen, seeing the troops drawn up in hostile array, descended boldly to the shore, and arranging themselves in corresponding bodies, manfully awaited the result. During the ebb of the tide, which barred the approach to the island, John and his followers betook themselves to their ships, leaving many, however, who were dispersed through the island, or who were engaged in preparing for provisions. In the evening, a certain young follower of Sir Ivar, the Knight Ivar, with many of the men of the isles, entered the island, and slew at the first onset many, while others were drowned in endeavouring to swim to the ships. Now the tenor John EIFION is from Gardol Ben Main in Sir Caernarfon, and in school he's a great friend of Bryn Terfel, and they sang duets together. Here he sings a song by another Gog, Robert Arwyn, although Robert Arwyn is from the northeast of Wales in Reeaghyn, rather than the northwest in Caernarfon. John EIFION sings De Gari Di o Belch.
Well,
Garidee o Bes, Love You From Afar, a song written by Robert Arwin and sung there for us by a multiple winner at the Eisteddfod, John EIFION. And the chronicler refers to the death of these Norwegians at the hands of the Night Iver's men, or in trying to swim out to their ships to escape. This happened to them, says the chronicler, I have no doubt, on account of their pride and insolence in refusing to accept the terms of peace offered by the natives. For the people of Man sent messengers at the first hour of day to say to them, Let those from amongst you who were sent by the King of Norway come on shore without fear, and exhibit to us the royal letters, and we will cheerfully do whatever his clemency commands. But they neither showed the letters, nor made any overtures for peace, nor received any that were offered by the Manx people. And retiring next day in great wrath from Man, they lost many of their chiefs by shipwreck in a storm which arose. So that's another excursion into the Chronicles of the Kings of Man and the Isles, which mentions that action taking place around Keeill Vaayl, the chapel of St. Michael, in 1250. Dúirtírum, fa mín jou éiseach me de chean vín, as henk me de yin der was my de loer. Fa alem fuddy de jig mochen ori as ish na sai und shen, as vrij me ji de chitstjaag on as de gulde lai merem, me so henkie stjaag se liabi, as renne lai shies ljarem. Haduggy wou je goed schemerach, no de doortri naar jinnige tanachtan ach tamelt beg, as eish de jinnachie gulbakkes at jabi heen. Gouds wie na lai und shen, ons mariachen as ish on dou ek, henke bennelt as a boeleg en onjagrish, wie courage moeste as beg en aglit, as demi maag, kreve shen! Hug me ber cunachie, as verjere henkeliam, as we na lai na tost. Gedot me clash na krie bach meen, gamelishtel, ach, dat me clash na krie bach meen ek fos boele de aglach. Lug tamelt beg henk a gull ingelrish mach as a freben tamagach, as beggen a lug shen, va crash eg an onjug, as va moeren de glanne vrish, kout jerelair. CORKILL and Alan Pickard on violins, with Charles ALWAY on cello, and arrangement for the Manx Folk Dance Society of Reeaghyn the Vannin. Stasiwn yn asiwn tyn e sio, sian dy greu, dyn e radio Vannington, as yn sio se Claare na Gael fy sgol ar sgeliena. Mish Robert Gydyn Carswell o Robert a Carslach.
Did the other hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Fa dol yn anoniog siedich gawr y drummer ag y ghia ren reis diach on, as ons dorlish na kern yn brish van kion jay moda all the moor shang leer. Daim y foer mach leis al, as renny streped de vein asai, as ish Gael greim de kai ag veg od ach cúnalí. The master ridden elia, gawi greim jane slong an de vlain, ren and fairly van Helsing shadoware, de gin and cow magiet me wannel, as renny raper soul vame. Reshallet na ghe, vein na sai, sheena mach mer, volde olde, as fa gluggerach quech aglach so scornach eg. Eish, hutchi shies. Mor de bergi bult eg tendrel, as ren na kion boele naien veshem, as hook me tol lenach rish tullach de ge. Ve jeender ouwe chambers, ulje me giet de moe kada me geert. Chummi me goelien gierige hernunjeg, ach ren na mode al de tarne roelach jon, as ve jean de denk kronnen begge gineru in shages jaach eg an onjeg wirish. Volume 21 of the Manx Society publications, published in 1873, was called Mona Miscellany, a selection of proverbs, sayings, ballads, customs, superstitions and legends peculiar to the Isle of Man, collected and edited by William Harrison. In a section devoted to legends and miscellanies, the first of them is The Ruined Chapel in St. Michael's Isle, a legend. At a distance of about 1.5 miles from Castletown, the metropolis of the Isle of Man, round the head of Derbyhaven, lies St. Michael's Isle, on which are to be met with the ruins of the little chapel of St. Michael, in Manx, Keeill Vaayl, from which it takes its name, and which has been in its present roofless state for more than 200 years. The date of the building may be about the 12th century. There's an ancient graveyard attached to it, which is now principally used as a place of interment by the Roman Catholics. That's an interesting continuation of the use of the site. Now, linking the Isle of Man and Brittany, this is NEEAR NESAN with Takashin Ursulgus Nerga and a song for a Breton dance, Damb der Ball.
de personne, så beau garçon de pardonner de non sérieux. Mais så jag i navalen, bion kämpen och sidischen, bion kämpen och sidischen. Ouais, on est pas pour le petit criette qui ricani.
Landa singing the Breton song Damb, linking that with the Manx tune for Takashner Sulgus and Erga, and with Landa were David Kilgallen, Mira Royal and Thomas Boisson playing theirs NEEAR NESAN. William Harrison goes on in his legend here. Many years ago there was a famous priest who gave up all that he possessed and came to teach Christianity in these parts. He wasn't a Manxman, though he could talk with the people in their own language. He lived in a poor house at Derbyhaven, but for all that, there wasn't a sick or needy person near but what he had helped with medicine and food, as well as spiritual advice. Along with a kind heart, he had a kind face and voice, so that the little children would run out to laugh and kiss his hand when they saw him pass. For a long time he used to gather the people together in the winter evenings in one of the largest rooms in the hamlet, while in the summer he would preach to the fishermen and their families on the seashore. After some years of this intercourse he proposed to the men that they should build a small church on the island. St. Michael, he said, had appeared to him in a vision, and pointed out a chapel on a flat space upon the grass close to the rocks. Fe Jean rawad caders gulma girt ons kjarkelen, gurish pilla de jan ta troilti korkunta jay treta simoon senesach. Hok mi ber gleisige, ach va pisha genja garm, as va korpbach me were wien, va Jean de bij chitte bij vuur hanna, sont een creaminek square vai boele, lede fo mi. As gerau kunjen hem weg rish tamelt. Gerau en tre Jean de bij ljouwer, ach vier, aglach, der henk mjor orm rish. Bol enjach vagestau, va klag meriu boele, van de modi uljum geert gullel. As sa freben tamagach ein, as Jean de bij kart moei, va ushig na hi, goilerein. Va mi a sharen, as mi chilach rish pien, as atchim as anunij, ach ren shien ushig na hi, Jean de bij korem a vere varu, ver jit der aas de gurgige mi. Ve Jean around the fire goestem ne Keeill Vaayl, yes, no dat mi clashen de katen roestach, klabberach, chow mooi Jim Agorus. Well, this is Karen Matheson with the band CAPERCAILLIE and a song of flirting and fun, Oran sugraidh.
Chile perse a mischer het weg kostrinje gehapjo. Nien mogen nien down nog. Den bieder im hoog habin på vrouw. Nien mogen nien down nog. Door je alles smieten, smikken je vritten, gormalan en verdien, bitter dat goor. Nien mogen nien down nog. Den bieder im hoog habin på vrouw. Nien mogen nien down nog. Gelijk mee unierig als kroejas en jenisch erekal en gilen wie schirp tofa. Nien mogen nien down nog. Den bieder im hoog habin på vrouw. Nien mogen nien down nog. Gebeurde stuttat mi utekin i spremir go. Nien mogen nien down nog. Den bitter im hoog habin på vrouw. Nien mogen nien down nog. Je vet ich mogen os kontas roevig. Skulle mag du dan hoedrums de jaar.
A Scottish Gaelic song about a beautiful young brown girl, Mary Nickneachtan, performed there by CAPERCAILLIE. Damb miorú as henkert stiach on, as tre honnigad na bhehagart as van a lai herm a liavi, rennad skriech mach, renna gie reistiach ag a nunnig brish, as renna doris boele dunt, Chrogad corp marum a ver a veen, as huggadeen a lai cúdish les brilín a liavi, lug dau iri. Vad uljuch o aglit as im neach, the ren mi corsair dau the golgus a chamber vi, as de cach the royal glesta fiend. The priest, records William Harrison, had seen the vision of St. Michael. He said, quite plain in his dream, the light was shining out of the windows. He'd crept up under the wall and looked in, and lo, he saw himself kneeling before a beautiful, costly altar, and he recognised the congregation as themselves. And we'll continue with this story of Keeill Vaayl, the chapel of St. Michael, next time. Cartner Chene, Son and Trey Ton. In just a few minutes, Chris Pearson will be here to host your Sunday Chill Out. 2 hours of the best chill out music from 7 to 9 o'clock. And then you can finish your weekend in the company of Judith Lay from 9 o'clock into the early hours of Monday morning. We're closing with music by Welsh band based in Pester in North Wales, Ninebach, visitors to Encruniach a few years ago. This is Wedi Torri, Broken, and it's sung by the composer of the words and music, Lisa Jane. As a sen signed on CORKILL and Claare. And so until the next time then, this is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Old Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night. EIFION my Reeaghyn, as orchardly as my yeary and shed you will you.
Gwasgan dyn dwi'n awchi, ond